All right, ready for this. We're going deep into Josh Waitzkin's The Art of Learning.
Oh, excellent choice.
Right. You might know him as well, that chess prodigy.
Turn Tai Chi champion, yeah.
Exactly. But what's really fascinating is how he breaks down learning, like the process itself. And what we're going to unpack his core principles, see how they work, not just for chess or martial arts, but for anything.
It's really about a mindset, approaching any challenge and then excelling.
Exactly. I love a good framework. So Waitzkin's first principle, he calls it building a foundation. Sounds simple, but there's an art to it.
Oh, absolutely. He really emphasizes starting simple, like he uses this example, mastering chess endgames before even looking at complex openings.
So you really internalize those core principles
Yeah.
before it gets crazy complicated.
Exactly.
Right? Think about coding. I remember when I first started, total overwhelm, right? Trying to build a whole website at once.
Oh, yeah.
If I just focus on one language, one concept first.
That's the point. It's building that solid base brick by brick. It's less daunting that way.
Yeah.
And you get a much deeper understanding of the core principles.
Okay, so strong foundation. Check. What's next?
He introduces this idea, making smaller circles.
Okay, now I'm picturing a bullseye. Are we doing archery now?
Not archery, but focus, yeah. Key element. Imagine you take one technique, right? You master it completely. Then you refine it. Make the movement smaller, but keep all the power. He talks about practicing a single punch over and over until it's lightning fast, almost invisible.
Precision over just brute force then.
Totally. And this applies to, well, think about a musician or a writer honing a sentence until it sings.
It's fascinating to me. It's not just mindless repetition. It's that conscious refinement. Like each time getting better until it's mastery that most people wouldn't even notice.
It's the difference between just going through the motions and actively engaging in that improvement.
Yeah.
Each repetition searching for like a tiny bit better.
So making smaller circles is more than just physical, right? It's a whole mindset.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got the foundation. We're refining. What's next on this learning journey?
This is where it gets really interesting. Waitzkin talks about slowing down time.
Okay, hold on. Sci-fi movie territory now.
I know, right? But it's about training your mind to perceive details so deeply that things seem to slow down. Like he gives this example from Tai Chi, focusing intensely on his opponent's eyes. He could see, anticipate the next move just from these tiny twitches.
So it's this heightened awareness, picking up on cues others miss.
Yes, and it's not just some, mystical martial arts thing. Think about a surgeon or a firefighter reading how a fire will spread.
Yeah, split-second decisions. Slowing down time would be huge.
Game changer.
I'm seeing connections here. You build that solid foundation, you're always refining, and it makes sense you develop that awareness.
You're internalizing the principles, the fundamentals, then your mind is free to focus on the subtle, almost invisible stuff.
Okay, slowing down time, I'm hooked. That sounds like years of intense training, though.
It does take practice and focus. But the good news is he gives some really specific techniques to develop this ability.
Okay, I'm all ears. But before we get into those techniques, just to recap for a sec, it's amazing how Waitzkin takes these concepts, these almost mystical ideas, and makes them practical, actionable steps.
And that's what's so powerful. It's not just theory. It's like a roadmap to becoming a better learner, whatever you're into.
Love it. So how do we slow down time? See the matrix. What's the next step?
So slowing down time, right? It's not about literally bending time. It's about training how you see things. Waitzkin talks about developing what he calls soft eyes.
Soft eyes.
Yeah. It's about relaxing your focus, taking in a wider view.
I get that. It's like when you're looking at a huge landscape, you don't stare at one tiny thing. You kind of let your gaze wander, absorb it all.
Exactly. And as you do that, you start noticing things you'd miss otherwise. Like in Tai Chi, he'd use this to observe not just the eyes, but the opponent's whole posture.
So shifts in weight, balance, all that.
Foreshadowing their next move. It's wild.
You're expanding awareness beyond the obvious.
Yeah.
Picking up on these almost subconscious signals.
And the crazy thing is, the more you practice this, your brain actually processes stuff faster.
Real.
Like you're giving your subconscious mind more data, so you react quicker, more intuitively.
I'm trying to picture this in everyday life. Say, a negotiation. Could I use soft eyes to pick up on their body language?
Totally. Posture, tone of voice, even micro expressions. You get a deeper understanding of their, emotional state, what's motivating them.
So it's a superpower. This slowing down time is about so much more than just reaction speed.
Absolutely.
It's understanding the whole situation, the people. Okay, so we've got the foundation, the smaller circles, now slowing down time. What other learning gems does Whiteskin have?
This one might surprise you. He's big on the power of adversity, sees setbacks as, like, growth opportunities.
Interesting. Most folks run from setbacks. He's embracing them.
He tells a story about breaking his hand right in the middle of training.
Yeah.
Devastating, you'd think. But he used it to refine his technique. Couldn't rely on that hand, so he had to develop new ways of moving, striking. Became more versatile because of it.
Turned a weakness into a strength.
Yeah.
What doesn't kill you
Mm.
and all that. But it's more than just being tough, right?
It's that growth mindset. Setbacks are feedback. Data points to improve your approach.
What can I learn from this? I love that.
How can I get better? That's the question.
Makes me think of all the times I've, bombed a presentation or failed to close a deal. Awful in the moment, but those were the biggest learning experience.
That's Waitskin's point, exactly. Don't fear failure, embrace it. That's where the real learning is.
Loving this shift in perspective. So foundation, smaller circles, slowing down time, and now using those setbacks. What else?
This next one is all about optimizing performance. He calls it building your trigger.
A trigger, like set something off.
Yes, it's about creating a routine. That helps you enter a peak performance state. Think about athletes with their pregame rituals or musicians meditating before a concert. It's about focus, getting in that flow.
I get that. I have my whole routine before recording, calms the nerves, get in the right headspace for our listeners.
Exactly. Waitskin talks about working with this client who wanted to be more present with his son when they played catch.
Cash, huh?
They designed this whole thing, healthy snacks, stretching, listening to music together.
Creating that space, mental and physical, to perform your best.
That's it.
Okay, so building your trigger, it's about ritual, accessing flow.
Yeah.
What other internal strategies does he talk about?
He's big on this. You can't master anything if your emotions are running wild. Harnessing emotions, he calls it.
Yeah, in high-pressure moments makes sense, like a chess championship or something. But what about, everyday life?
It's about how emotions impact you in any situation. He tells the story about a chess rival this guy used to try to psych him out. Distractions, mind games.
Oh, I know the type.
At first, Wheatskin would get angry, thrown off, but then he learned to use that anger, fueled his focus, intimidated the other guy right back.
So instead of letting it control him, he weaponized it almost.
Exactly.
But what about, fear, anxiety? Those are tougher to channel, right?
That's a great question, and it leads us to Waitskin's final and maybe most profound principle, the power of presence.
Okay, sensing a theme here. Waitskin is all about the inner game. So what's presence all about?
It's about cultivating a deep, mindful awareness of this moment right now, being fully engaged, observing everything, no judgment, and then responding with, clarity and intention.
Sounds a bit like meditation.
It is, in a way. He believes this state of presence, it's the key to unlocking your potential, not just in performance, but in life itself.
Okay, that's big. So how do we cultivate that? Can you just flip a switch and bam, you're present?
It takes practice, but the rewards are immense.
Okay, before we get into that, let's recap. We've got building the foundation, making things smaller, slowing down time, using those setbacks, building our trigger, and harnessing emotions. It's amazing how each one builds on the last.
It really is a framework for becoming a master learner.
And now, with the power of presence, we're going to see how it all comes together.
Yeah, it's about integrating these principles into how you live, how you approach the world, intentionally, with awareness.
This is exciting. I'm already thinking about how I can be more present. So we've explored all these amazing principles, but now comes the real test, putting them into practice. How do we actually cultivate this power of presence? It seems, a little out there,
It might sound kind of daunting, yeah. But Waitskin breaks it down. He starts by saying, distractions, they're everywhere, right? Our phones, our to-do lists, even that little voice in our heads.
Oh, tell me about it. Constant notifications, it's like attention overload. Hard to focus on one thing.
Exactly. So he says we got to create space for presence. Start small, like taking a few deep breaths before you work, or really savoring that morning coffee instead of gulping it down.
Yeah, little pauses bring you back to the moment.
Hit that reset button, and as you practice, you start to notice your thoughts, feelings. You become less reactive, more intentional.
It's like that harnessing emotions thing, right?
Exactly. Presence gives you that space to observe your emotions without being, swept away by them.
You're not at their mercy anymore.
You're driving. And from that place of presence, you can use all those other principles with way more intention.
So presence is like the foundation for the foundation almost.
I like that. You're building, refining, slowing down time, using those setbacks, all from that calm, focused awareness.
This is really inspiring me. I'm thinking about how I can be more present, just in general. But before we wrap up, what can our listeners actually do? We've covered a lot, but what's one thing they can try today?
Well, if you're feeling inspired by this whole presence thing, Waitskin has this simple practice. Pick one daily activity, something totally mundane, brushing your teeth, doing dishes, whatever.
Okay, on game. What's the trick with the toothbrush?
Instead of zoning out while you brush, focus on the sensations. Feel the bristles, taste the toothpaste, the movement of your hand.
Bringing mindfulness to everyday stuff. I
Yeah.
dig it.
It seems basic, but it can be powerful for being present throughout your day.
A mini workout for your presence muscles. Love it. Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today. From building that foundation to embracing those setbacks, slowing down time, and cultivating presence, Waitskin's given us a real toolkit, right? Not just for one skill, but for leveling up in life.
And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's that journey of learning and growth.
Beautifully put. So, to our amazing listeners, we challenge you, take one of these principles, try it out this week. See what happens when you bring more presence to your work, your relationships, your creative stuff. Let us know how it goes. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep exploring all that potential you've got.